Okay.
Yeah, hello and welcome to the Black Mind Podcast Episode 3.
Tree?
Free.
The tree.
Free.
But I want to give the Loch Ness Monster Tree Fitty.
350 is perfectly fine.
Right. On this week on the podcast, I'll be looking over there's four main engines. I'll be doing the two that I'm most familiar with: Unreal 4 versus Unity 5. That is.
I'll be having a rant on Blender and how it's okay.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, yes, okay is a strong word.
And I've been playing Ziggurat for the past couple of days, and I basically my view on that it's a very good Quake fantasy Quake, but I'll get more into that later on.
Fantasy Quake, like Quake 3, Quake 1.
Let me think. I think the similarity I'm thinking of right now is kind of like Unreal and Quake, how they're super fast, and you can basically you're going at Mach 20, and everything else is kind of going at their own same speed, and there's tons of enemies coming at you. You got to do some mob control, that type of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll probably talk about that whenever we get to it.
And that's all. We're going to have all that and more on this week on the episode of the Black Mind Podcast, recorded on January the 14th, 2015. So, I guess it's safe to say that this week we kind of on the eve of E3, aren't we?
Yeah, or on like the tip of the iceberg of that.
And
yeah.
And a lot of probably engines are probably going to get announced. Like the Unreal and Unities. And we're probably going to have some news about some video games and stuff. Right, Sam?
Yes. Oh, wait. Do you want me to start?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's what you meant. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, I've used a lot of Unity, and I've used quite a bit of Unreal. I really haven't looked at CryEngine because the thought horrifies me, and I do want to look at Source 2, because there's some actually really interesting things coming out of Source 2 late. But I'll stick with the two I'm most familiar with, Unreal and Unity. So, I've used it a lot myself, and for this podcast, I went to actually look up the differences between the two, and 90% of the conversations feel like people were just complaining over costs. The problem is there's something that's kind of more important than cost in some ways is usability. And if you just want to jump right in there and get started, it's really hard to say which one's better in some ways, because Unity comes very stripped down. Its default material creation and shaders are just not the best. They're very simple. They're very straightforward. Versus something like Unreal's, because Unreal uses the same system that like 3ds Max or Maya uses, where you can just put everything in. You can modify the shit out of it. With Unity, it's you plug the diffuse into the diffuse section, and that's it. With Unreal, you can plug the diffuse into all of them after you've modified it, after you've changed it in different ways using essentially a form of coding. It's just far more powerful, and then you can break it down even further. If you look at Unity's versus Unreal's asset store, Unity's asset store versus Unreal's asset store, Unity has 10 times more stuff in it. The problem is that 90% of it is garbage. It's terrible. The other 10% is great. Whereas with Unreal, most of it's pretty good. There's one or two things on Unreal that I'm just like, why? Why does that exist? But for the most part, other than that, it's the asset store is insane. It's a bit more expensive, but it's insane.
Okay.
Honestly, if I had to choose
and welcome
between
to the Black
two,
Mind
I would
Podcast
have to pick Unreal.
episode.
Because Unity comes so stripped down that to make a game, you're going to spend half your time coding everything you need. Where Unreal, you could just create blueprints of a good 80% of what you need to actually make a game.
Okay.
So, or like 80% of the coding you need to make a game, you can just use blueprints. So if you had to choose between the two, if it really comes down to, are you a good coder? If you are a good coder, then chances are you may want to look at Unity. If you're not a great coder, Unreal's probably for you.
Can we just redo? We have to redo everything. The computer.
What would you do?
My computer froze.
Oh,
Oh.
well, mine
Wait,
still
how-
works for my voiceover.
Okay.
So
So
we can keep that whole speech rather than I do it again.
yeah. So we'll keep the whole entire speech, and then I'll just splice them together. All right. So
All right.
yeah.
I'll just keep my recording.
Yeah. So do you guys want to do another thing?
Sync.
So the question I gotta ask then is, because of stuff like Unity encoding and stuff like that, do you think that Unity 5 does anything different with materials or anything like that, or?
No, that's what I'm talking about. Is Unity 5. The best thing that they do with Unity 5 is that they got a slightly better default shader and they got better lighting.
Mhm.
But Unity 5's default shader is still significantly inferior to Unreal 4's. Significantly.
Yeah, that's understandable, and it's actually quite an interesting find and with everything.
Because if you can actually get something very similar. There is a shader you can buy on Unity. One sec, I'll look it up. I should have had this up before. But that's the thing. It costs like $200. I think I talked to you guys about this before. That there was a shader system that you could buy that essentially does the same thing that like Maya or 3ds Max uses. Which, yes, Shader Forge. It costs $90, and there you go. So you can get the a very similar shader system to Unreal 4's, but you have to pay $90 for it. It's your call.
Yeah, so it sounds like as if Unreal is actually more Pro Tools, whereas Unity is more prosumers. Would you say that it feels like that?
Sorry, Unity's more what?
Prosumer.
Prosumer. Oh, okay. Not necessarily more prosumer. It's just Unity's goal is to not give you necessarily a tool. It gives you a toolbox, but half the tools are missing, and the goal is to fill it up yourself. That's why they were so cheap for so long. That's why they didn't have any costs. Is because I'm just throwing out numbers here, but Unity probably had like 10 people working on Unity, and they probably had 80 people working on Unreal. So Unreal, it's charging so much initially because they put so much more work into it. But Unity said, "Oh, we're just gonna let people do it themselves and charge less."
Yeah.
Makes sense. I like the competition.
Right.
Doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah. So you would describe it. So you're describing it as Unreal's a lot better package overall.
If you want to just get out the door and start using the engine straight up with no mods, no additions, then yes. If you want to do a lot of customizing and if you're a great coder, then Unity might be for you.
Okay. So, okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna start right now about something else that recently came up, like 3D models.
On Blender.
On Blender, which is
It can make a decent fruit smoothie.
the question is, will it blend?
That is the question.
Okay, I'm gonna go to my room and shoot myself now.
Okay. So what? All I'm gonna say is that I think Blender is probably one of the best free operating systems for modeling I've ever seen.
Let me correct you. Blender is the best free one,
Well, there's SketchUp.
as far as I'm aware.
There's SketchUp, but SketchUp's really bad. It's kind of amazing to me that Blender it has all the basic tools that Max does, and it has all the basic tools that Maya does, but it feels like somebody like just kind of like took the best of both worlds and tried mixing them together, and it kind of created a, how do I say it, cesspool.
Okay, you're gonna have to clarify that.
Okay,
Could he use Frankenstein? Could have used like I don't know, genetic freak, but cesspool.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
you're gonna have to clarify that. I'm curious.
yeah, because essentially like the way that engine, the way that it works is that essentially it has the modeling from it has all the UVing from ZBrush. So it's some of the nicest UVing I've ever seen. It works really well and really fast, but like it just feels hodgepodged together. The basic modeling outlook and stuff like that, it's all taken from 90% Maya. So it's like 90% Maya compared to like a good 45% chunk. Max also has a few other issues with has a few little bumps and bruises with Max and everything like that. And the reason why I say cesspool is because it doesn't feel as if like somebody like took this and like pleasantly like mixed it together. It feels like as if somebody kind of took parts of it and thought, oh well, this part goes well with this part and this part goes great with this part, but as for this part, well, it doesn't really work. It feels kind of like somebody took a cauldron and just mixed it, but like part of this, part of that, and that.
Well, from my short period with Blender, I did this more out of curiosity than out of necessity. I found that it was just awkward to use after using Maya and 3ds Max. It's really hard initially to transfer over, and because of that, I didn't get very far in it.
Yeah, it's probably one of the harder systems I've used as of late. I remember saying to a few people like, "Oh, like I think Blender has better UVing than Maya," which is
True.
which is true in some aspects because stuff like laying out UVs. In Maya it's kind of difficult. You have to hit auto map, and sometimes the mapping isn't 100% flat. Blender, you can just hit where you want the seams to go, hit mark seams, and then it just goes, okay, here's a flat map.
I think Maya and 3ds Max has that ability.
I believe Maya has a very stripped down, worse UVer than Max, but
Jeez, that's terrifying.
yeah, Max has a lot better of a UV template.
Yeah, because it gives you a crap ton of options of how you want to do things. It even has some old stuff that's still there, like the pelt system.
Yeah, and it does stuff very well with how Max sort of works. Now it is kind of shocking that I am saying that Maya is a lot better than. It's a lot better that shocking that I'm saying like, hey, Blender has a lot better UVer, but for basic modeling, it actually is quite well. There's a lot of interesting tools in it. Like there is full-on Boolean. There's full-on subdivide. Like there's stuff that is in it that's just kind of amazing. But it just feels like the fit and finish is just poor.
Well, here's the ultimate question. How does it do high poly modeling? Because I know both 3ds Max and Maya have a very powerful high poly modeling system. And with Max, there's a cheap little thing you can buy. It costs $25. I have no idea what it's called. I probably should go look that up. I'll tell you guys later because my 3ds Max takes forever to load up. And okay, what you normally do to create a high poly model is you go turbo smooth, and then you use the shader groups to control how you turbo smooth. What this does is it does a special kind of turbo smooth that double turbo smooths the edges, but only single turbo smooths the center part. Whereas before you were supposed to use a turbo smooth, then do another turbo smooth on top of it. which would bump your poly count up to the millions.
Mhm.
Where with this, you could keep it in the hundreds of thousands. So for high poly modeling, it's great.
Yeah. I personally think that I personally don't do a lot of high poly modeling in Blender. It's right now. It's it's very kind of up in the air. I don't think it would be the best for high poly modeling. As a matter of fact, I think that it's probably some of the. It's very good for like very simple modeling. That's the best way of putting it. As for stuff like turbo smooth and stuff like that, that's not really in there. There's not a lot of smoothing groups or anything like that as well. So, yeah. I actually really kind of like Blender. It's really kind of odd for me to say this because I find it just it's kind of a tool that I could kind of pick up and just do stuff in. And very similar to how Max is, like Max, when I get in kind of a groove, I'm kind of like, just the stuff is just flowing out. The models are just coming together, and it's just great. Blender, I kind of get in the same kind of groove, and it's just really, really interesting because I never expected that from a tool that was free.
Okay, there is a high poly modeling tool in Blender. I found it a free tutorial. If my computer wouldn't decide to blow up on me. If you go into modifiers and what was it called?
Subdivide?
Subsurface modeler?
Yes,
Yeah,
that tool's awesome.
yeah. That's what you're supposed. That's apparently one thing you can use for high poly modeling. There's a Blender tutorial. I will link this in Skype. Jeff put it on the thing right here for high poly modeling.
Okay, put it on for the show notes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, on YouTube when you put it on YouTube or
SoundCloud.
yeah, SoundCloud. Sure.
Yes. I would say that both shows. I would say that both actually Blender and 3ds Max. It's very sort of simple. And another great thing about Blender is it's free, so anyone can use it. So like if I'm having a problem or something like that, I can easily find it. Now there's been a few cases where I've kind of felt like an idiot and just kind of been like, well, if I resorted back to Max, it would have been great. But I haven't had that really experience a whole hell of a lot lately.
Well, the problem is too, you're working on your current game, and if you actually want to sell it for money, you can't use the student version of 3ds Max or Maya, as far as I'm aware.
Yes, you can't. It is probably some of the most biggest. I want to say bullcrap that Autodesk has kind of laden is like, oh yes, you have to use a $300 program in order to make or not $300, $5,000 program if you want all the tools and everything like that.
Well, no, it's if you want to charge money for it. Yeah, it's very non-competitive, but the problem is they dominate the market for 3D modeling in movies and games, so they can do whatever the fuck they want, I guess. Doesn't make a difference if they want to hurt themselves in the long run. That's their call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although in the long run, they probably still be around, and they're going to be the only one there.
Yeah, that's true. Because the amount of money they make on each sale is ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's another thing is like my philosophy on design is sort of, more tools is always better. And so I kind of feel like as if the anti-competitive nature of Autodesk kind of lends itself a lot better to stuff like Blender showing up. And it is actually very, very interesting that stuff like Blender exists.
Yeah, I'm really surprised how successful it's been. I found the tool I was talking about. It's called Turbo Smooth Pro. A very complicated name. Yeah, I'd recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
Like there's like this guy. It's from Marius Silakia. Blah blah blah. I apologize, dude. If I'm completely butchering your name, but your last name is kind of hard to say.
Some dude from Syria, we'll assume.
I've got no idea. I've got no idea where that name's from. Yeah, I linked it in chat, and yeah, he sells a bunch of plugins for 3ds Max. Some of them I've only ever used one, so I can't say anything. But based on the one that I did buy, TurboSmooth Pro, it's something to definitely look at.
Okay. And yeah, that's actually, yeah, I actually like Blender a lot, but I kind of feel as if like, I feel like the main problem is Autodesk, and I don't understand why there isn't more competition in the marketplace. I feel as if that is something interesting, and like we were talking about this last week, where we said that hey, 3ds Max might be going out soon. That is,
Hadouken!
I'm gonna bleep that word out.
I wouldn't bother, but it is kind of, well, they've been saying it for a long time. They want to get rid of it, but lately they've been adding on new and impressive tools on the Maya and not adding them on the Max, and we are seeing decreasing support for Max. So it's not a guaranteed thing, but get ready for it.
Yeah.
Hey, Maya, you can get it for a monthly subscription for $123 a month.
Can I?
And
Is it
same with Max?
Is this for the full edition or?
I think so.
Okay.
Desktop, yeah, it's a desktop. I think it is.
Hold on.
Yep. Looks like it's full support.
Yeah, that's
Still unbelievably expensive, but nonetheless.
for US too. So
1, 2, 3 times 12 that's $1,476 a year.
that's a lot.
Well, if I was working on this full time, I'd be willing to pay it. But as a student, as a poor student, I can't afford that.
No, I don't think anyone can. The one thing I gotta kind of say is that it's very interesting that Autodesk has created something called Maya LT, and that right now is going for $240 per year.
That is more reasonable. So that's a price a student can afford. The problem is, not all students are using Maya.
Yeah, I think that for us as a team, Maya LT would probably be perfect for us because it's just essentially a stripped out Maya.
But they have Moto Indie. We should look at that first.
Ooh, how much?
Because I'm 200.
Ooh. Ooh.
But it's on sale right now, and you get Mari and Moto for $250
For where?
on Steam.
Oh, really?
And there's subscription plans instead. Oh yeah, here it is. Moto Indie is $17 a month. That is a price I'd be willing to pay. I think I will get this for a month and test it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I've heard good things about Moto, and I've been really wanted to check it out. But these guys do not offer student versions,
Excellent.
as far as I'm aware. Unless that changed, I will check. Moto. So yeah, Josh, what have you been doing?
Yeah, Josh, what kind of crazy games have you been playing, Josh?
Trying to find time to play Ziggurat as of late. Yeah. Other than working my buns off at a lumberyard, or actually lumberyard, yeah, lumberyard. Working my buns off over there, and then trying to find some time to play at least one game. The one game I decided to go for was actually from the sale. It was Ziggurat, and I always kind of looked at it and thought, oh, this looks really interesting. I just never really leaped on it like before. But then the sale happened, and they're docked it down to, I think, $4 or $5. And I decided, yeah, sure, I'll get it. And then I'll finally play it and see how it is. And I've so far clocked over 7 hours. And yeah, I will confirm that Ziggurat is very, very good.
No surprise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here,
Yeah.
they do offer. The company that makes Moto is called the Foundry. They do offer student licenses, but you have to you have to apply, prove that you're a student, and then you have to pay. And it's $250 American, I believe, per year. I'm assuming. Yep, per year.
So that'd be 300 and
Yeah.
something.
For
Canadian.
300.
But like 300 for a student license, you guys. Like just say you can't release. Yeah, put some code on there and make it so you can't release it. Gers. Because what student's gonna use? What student's gonna pay $300 to try your product?
Yeah.
Silly people.
I think the idea was yeah, everything. I think the problem is that if you try to gouge every single consumer, they're just gonna go with the one that's free.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have the problem of learning a new product.
Well, exactly. Like if I want to learn Moto, if I want to see if Moto's right for me, I would like to try it for free, please.
Yes.
to see if it's right, to see if I even like it.
Oh yeah.
So you're saying that if we're gonna make our own 3D modeling tool of some sort, we're gonna make a free demo, let that float around or something, and then we'll be like, here's a cheap subscription version of it.
No.
or something.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna make a 3D modeling tool, and it's gonna have blackjack and hookers in it, and then we're gonna release it for.
Well, that'll be the that'll be the
Oh, yes.
tutorial
We're
models.
talking about Blender, not Bender.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about Ziggurat. Or is that the Pokemon?
Oh, I thought.
Now I don't know what we're talking about. Fine, be that way, you guys. You guys are all dicks.
Oh, we're jumping back and forth between things. But so anyway, Ziggurat. Yeah, so I can confirm that Ziggurat is a very, very good first-person roguelike. Yeah, if anything, I will say that it's a roguelike. What if Quake or Unreal were roguelikes? So like you move very fast, you have a lot of magic weapons, and they shoot projectiles all the time. And each projectile does something different. You have one's a freezing, does freezing ray stuff. Another one does poison damage over time. And you have a basic magic wand, which I call the AKA, which acts very much like an AKA. So
What's an
at close
AKA?
range. What was it? Well, it's a rifle that everyone uses in every single friggin'
That's just
FPS.
called
AK-47.
47.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
40
Like, what do you
47?
mean AKA? I don't know what you're talking about now.
Oh, sorry. I have different names for everything. Like I said, read my mind. Just read it.
So it's an AK-47.
Anyway,
Like.
yeah.
If I could reach through the computer and slap you, I would.
Well, you can't. Ha ha.
When Frag happens, we have to do a live podcast just so I can sit there and laugh.
And watch me slap him.
Multiple times. It's probably gonna happen. Oh no.
They could just hear me go, no, don't stop. Ah!
I should call your mother. Slap him.
But anyway, Ziggurat. So there's the overtone of the game. It's high. It's not necessarily high fantasy. It's kind of weird, jokey fantasy. As in, there's evil carrots trying to catch you and mutilate you and stuff like
Alice
that.
in Wonderland.
A little bit, yeah. And there's also tons and tons of unlockables in the game. Every time I completed every time where I would die and go back to play in the game again, it unlocks tons of crap. Anything from you can get perks for whenever you go through a dungeon, to you get brand new weapons you can use on your next go, or what's another one? Or maybe just a brand new character altogether. So it's a well put together roguelike first person shooter. And what else to say about it? Oh yeah, and there's tons of enemy types in it. So one of the enemies is an evil carrot. Another one is a giant demon. It looks.
Hold on.
Did
Did you say evil carrot?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Can I be a rabbit in this game?
No.
No.
I do have a question for you, Josh. What does it feel like to be facing your literal nightmares?
What, the demon or the carrot?
Can I be a good carrot?
Actually, I think the foes I find the most scary in this game are the sirens that show up. They're ghostly figures. They're all female, and they float, and all they do is, they kind of do that screeching, yelling screech at you, and they shoot. Yeah, again, everything shoots a kind of a projectile at you. But I find them the most scary because they don't really do much, and they just kind of just yell at you, and their projectiles track you. And if you look at them closely, of their model, they're actually quite creepy looking. So every time I go up against them, I'm like, oh, I don't like these models because they freak the
Do
shit
they
out of
just
me.
sit there and like tell you to take out the trash and stuff like that?
That's terrible. I had to say the most terrifying enemy for me that I've ever faced was the freaking demon babies from Doom 3. Fuck them. Up the
Oh,
ass. I hate them
yeah.
so much.
The most terrifying enemy I ever had to face was all the girls in my high school. Not actually no. Let me rephrase that. Not all the girls in my high school. All the girls in my high school on the first day of grade 12.
Why the first day of grade 12? What's
They were
important about that?
all looked the same.
Like,
Oh, I see. They're all the same
They
type
all
of
looked
girl.
almost exactly the same. So like you would be sitting there talking to one, and you'd be like, "So Mindy, how are you doing today?" And like it was
really?
like
I'm not Mindy.
yeah,
with
it was
you?
like that. But no, in actual fact, the worst enemy I ever had to face was man. Enemies,
Man.
man. Other people online.
Oh, I
I
see.
thought you were gonna say like getting over your fear of other men,
Oh,
because we all know why you fear them.
oh, that's easy. It's called I have a better car than them.
Ooh, it's on
or
now.
Or other things. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, it's on now then, Jeff.
Apparently, some would say I'm compensating for something.
Yeah, this is the guy who bought him.
Blueberries.
Yeah, I'm compensating. I have short hair. I'm balding.
I just shaved mine off last work. Oh, it was so nice. I had my hair down to my eyes, so like they're almost covering my eyes, and then I was like, you know what? I'm done with hair. I went to the barber. I got it shaved off, so like buzz cut, and oh, it was amazing. The feeling. It's like no hair.
Right.
Oh, I know. You could wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I have to go. Like you wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I have to like go to the bathroom, and then you're like, oh, I got nothing to
Yeah,
do. I'll
brush
just walk
your
out here.
teeth, and you're gone. You're good.
And you're dead.
Dead.
And you're good. And you're good.
Dead.
And you're
fuck?
dead.
Speaking of
I meant to say and you're good, but it just came out and you're dead. I'm like,
You're
okay. Playing
Okay,
too
guys,
much
there's a new
Ziggurat, okay?
tool I want you guys to look at. I just took that 2 seconds ago. Guys, LinkedIn and Skype. But it's the bottom
links.
link.
oh my god, is that
Okay.
UE?
That's UE4. Okay, so what this tool is, it's called Gyazo, Gyazo. And it's a little program you install on your computer. You double click the link, it changes your cursor to a plus, then you drag a box onto your screen. It takes a picture of the screen, automatically uploads it, then opens it on your monitor for you, giving you the link, and you can link it to somebody. So you're able to take screenshots, upload them in under 2-3 seconds.
So you mean like the snipping tool, but with less words?
Yeah, like there's no Photoshop, no Paint, no nothing. You don't need to save it as a PNG and upload it to Imager, Dropbox, or whatever. You just drag the thing and wait 2 seconds.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Oh,
a bunch of friends I was working with were obsessed with the tool. I was like, okay, what the hell is this tool? I gotta use it. I was like, I'm just gonna use this tool, nothing else for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It even does. It even has GIF version where you can like record, 5-second GIFs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. Maybe that's maybe that's how that guy from PC Master Race is recording half of his crap on his
Zing.
computer top.
But yeah, like this just for game developers out there, if you're working online, that's a tool you want to look at because it saves you so much time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Fantastic.
So, Josh, you told us that you got something last week. It made me really depressed.
I'm not sure why it made you depressed. I mean, there's other things to be depressed about. All I did was get a Dreamcast about a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
That's
about
awesome.
a couple weeks
I don't
ago.
see what's wrong with that.
Yeah. Well,
Why have to make you depressed,
Well,
Jeff?
Yeah.
You're just a dick.
it made me depressed because it reminded me of all the consoles I have lost.
Losses and how, just like traded away or got rid of it, or
So, long story short, my mom had an Atari 2600. That was my first.
Your
console.
mom had an Atari 600?
Atari 2600.
Why?
And that's not a joke.
Why would your mom have it?
She bought an Atari 2600 when she was in high school.
yeah, they're pretty old.
So, she has this Atari 2600. She traded away, or she threw it out in the trash
Blasphemy.
along with all of her games. But I kind of want to talk about like, so have you played any good games on the Dreamcast lately, Josh?
I other did some light testing with Daytona Racing, because when I first bought the Dreamcast over at that same store, I brought it home and plugged it in, and it didn't work. Like nothing would show up on television. Yeah, so I had to go back my next weekend, or my next work weekend. I got off from work. I had to go back and be like, it didn't show up anything on screen, and I could tell because I had the VMU I also got with it, and it showed stuff on the VMU, but there was nothing showing up on screen. So it was like, oh, that's weird. So I got another Dreamcast they had lying around,
That's good.
and that one worked. But yeah. So other than light testing with some Daytona, don't think I've really sunk my teeth into it.
Most places I go to, they test their consoles before they sell them. That's kind of depressing that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Actually, I was very surprised of like they constantly reassure you, yeah, we test and like clean these out and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh cool, so it should work when you get freaking home. And I got home and plugged it in. I was like, what the fuck? This not
So that
not
sounds
working.
like to me like you got the dud of like, or somebody made a massive mistake. But like the reason why I'm like saying like the reason why I'm like really happy for you is because like some really cool games came out on the Dreamcast.
Soul Calibur 1, I think it was. It was one.
Fantasy Star, House of the Dead Overkill, or not Overkill, Type of the Dead.
Yeah, Typing of the Dead, super weird and super awesome. I think you get it on Steam now too.
There's also a few good gems like Sonic.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what games the Dreamcast had.
Power Stone. Yeah, Power Stone 2 is another good one for it. I'm slowly going down the list of what they have here. Phantasy Star is good. Rayman 2. There's Seaman. That's more of an experiment than a game.
I think that was the whole point of Seaman, was to be an experiment.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, they got their entire Sega catalog. Space Channel 5. Some very obscure RPGs on that system. And there's also a brawler I remember watching a video of on the internet. God, man, I can't remember the name of it, but it has this weird, there's 3 slots in which you can 3 planes of existence that are going on at the same time, and you're fighting through giant cities and forests and stuff like that. And it's another fantasy game. But the gimmick with that one is that you can jump in between these different parallels, so from foreground to middle ground to background. And it also got a bunch of button combos that similar to you can do in Street Fighter. So it's just there's a lot of depth and RPG-ness about that one. I can't wait if I can remember the name of it. I can't. I don't think I'm gonna find
We're
it.
so organized.
Anyway,
We're so organized right
Yeah.
now. It's kind of like how my GameCube went, and my parents gave that to my sister.
Without your permission, or?
No, it was a family gift, so they were
Oh,
just like,
okay.
"Oh, here, have this." It was just like the saddest day of my life.
But would your sister even play it?
She has a kid now.
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought it meant like when you initially got
mm.
the GameCube, they gave it to your sister. It's like, would she even play it?
No. I miss my GameCube.
wow, I want my GameCube
I,
back.
I'll
Although,
probably
to be fair, you can find another one
Yeah,
for probably not
it's
that
$50
not
or
that
$200
expensive, like,
depending what it is.
yes.
It's GameCubes are still incredibly common, and I honestly don't like the Wii because half the games I played on the Wii I just used the GameCube controller for anyways.
Yeah. The Wii was a replacement for the GameCube. Let's say that.
Yeah, but it's just like with generally speaking worse controls.
Worse controls? That's sacrilege.
Okay, it was a bit of a gimmick.
It was very much a gimmick.
Here, guys, I linked you something more on the bottom using Gyazo. I just took this. I didn't spend. I drew the thing, and I flew around, and it uploaded automatically. What I'm showing them, just for anybody listening, is a project I was working on UDK. Just one small section of it. Where I'm flying through a warehouse.
Okay. What I'll probably end up doing in the video is I'll probably end up putting that in there, so that way then we can look at it and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. But I want to talk about Mad Max, and specifically, I want to talk about if somebody could make a Mario Kart game, Mario Kart-esque game, I should say, that is essentially Mad Max, Fury Road.
I'm sure there's something like that out there. Although more Mad Max than it is Mario Kart.
I think there's one game. I think I have it. It's called Pam. Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
I thought you were I thought you were talking about Pam
sounds
from Archer.
Oh. Yeah, totally. I'm talking about Pam. Pam's awesome.
Pam is awesome.
But yeah, I kind of want a hardcore Mad Max game that's really good, and I'm really excited for the new one. But I kind of want somebody to just mod the crap out of it so I could play as Mario, because I think that would be hilarious.
But that'd be a very violent game. Because Mario itself is already very violent. Because think about it, to kill people in Mario, you jump on their heads. If you were doing that in real life, you'd crush their spines, which is incredibly violent if you think about it.
And also, if you get a Yoshi, you implode them into dust.
Yes. Yes, you do that. You.
I mean, it's probably less violent, but I
Yeah,
don't
but
know,
there's
depending on how you look at it.
You also eat them whole and then poop them out as
Well,
eggs.
exactly. Like, how would you feel if you're walking along and this weird dinosaur thing wraps its tongue around you, swallows you whole, and puts you inside of an egg like a spider?
Someone's fetish.
Sadly, I can't argue with that. I really wish I could, but I can't.
Like you described it, I'm like someone's fetish.
I would feel really, really good about myself. I would be like, this is the greatest moment of my life. I can now sleep in peace. And then I would get thrown at something and then die a horrible death. But that's neither here nor there.
That's you on a regular day, I thought.
Huh.
I think that's pretty much it. We'll talk about some other stuff next week. I don't know what. Probably E3.
Please no.
And
Probably. Oh wait, yeah. Speaking about E3, Nintendo said that Ryu is an official character for
yes,
Smash.
and they also announced a new game called Blitzball or Blast Ball. Blast Ball.
Surprising enough, the Blitzball from Final Fantasy X was actually fairly fun.
Hold on, let me look it up.
It was, but it's kind of it's weird because all you're doing is looking at the mini
Yeah,
map.
it's true.
And
It wasn't a
yada.
great game, like the Blitzball. Blitzball wasn't the greatest game ever, but it was surprisingly good for kind of a mini game.
Yeah, for like a little mini game you could play. Yeah, it's fairly decent. Although Triple Triad's way
I
better.
don't know what that is.
Oh, it's another mini game they've made for Final Fantasy VIII. But the thing is, it was fully on.
Oh
it was a
yes,
full-on
yes,
card
yes, I
game,
remember this.
and it's it's actually developed. It actually balanced it and everything, and it's
Yes,
pretty decent.
I remember
pretty
Triple
decent
Triad.
card
Yes, it was
game.
an amazing card game actually. I was shocked at how good it was.
I have never played
Yeah.
Triple Triad.
Go play Final Fantasy VIII. They really push it hard in the first few hours. Like you have to play it like 3 times, and yeah, it's good.
I think that
Yeah.
might be upcoming video content for our YouTube channel.
It's Triple Triad of Final Fantasy VIII. I'll see if I still have my discs lying around. I probably do.
Yeah.
Holy shit! It looks like there's actually like an MMO of it. Triple Triad Flash Online.
Oh.
What? Really?
Let's see if this works.
Well, there is a decent under or what was it called? Cult classic type of game, really, because people remember when you talk to people about Final Fantasy VIII, they remember the damn card game all the
you
time.
can play it online. I linked it in Skype. Triple Triad FlashOnline.com.
Oh, wow. Full on site. I wonder if they made booster
do
packs
not-
or
I
whatever
do not know.
or expansions.
They want you to register though.
Ah, gross. No.
Yeah. One more more place to send me random emails that I will never look at.
Exactly. They'll go straight to my junk
Yeah,
pile.
because
and I'll never
what I did
see
a
it.
few months back is I started gathering up all the random emails I would get, and I put them into their own folder. And now I get like 3 emails a week that I actually look at, and all the miscellaneous ones I don't give a crap about go into the other folder.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alright.
Actually, that's how I feel with all my social media
No,
updates. I
who
just don't look at them.
cares?
I don't look at them.
Unless you're
Yeah,
obsessed with
exactly.
social media, who cares?
Nobody
Ex-
cares.
yeah. Oh boy.
Okay. So that is Black Mind episode 3.
Twa.
Black Mind episode 3, and this is the end of the podcast. Josh, give us an ending song.
No.
Do 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 do.
Good night, and thank you for listening.
You're terrible. You're just terrible.
Okay, we're
Jeff,
done.
you're terrible for encouraging him.
We're done.
Give you a theme song? I will give you a theme song. It'll be a ripoff, but I'll give you a theme song.